The number one myth that held me back when I was an aspiring actor. It holds a lot of people back. Let's go back to high school. I was in high school. I was standing outside the fence at the Admiral Twin Drive-In, and I was watching them shoot a scene from The Outsiders. This is the scene at the drive-in where Jerry throws the Coke in the face of Dallas. I had a friend who played one of the Socs in that movie. And that was really the first time I'd ever thought about actors and acting, and really thought about the people on the screen and on the TV as being just people like I was. So I had my mom take me up there. It was a cold night. I mean, it was like right around freezing. And we stood outside the fence. They were so far away we really couldn't make out much of what was going on, but I stood out there and I watched it. We stood out there almost the whole night we were there until they wrapped up shooting. And there was something that I thought about when I was out there. I thought if I just showed up, then they would put me in the movie. I could be in the movie. That was how naive I was and how little I knew about the acting business. And so it took me a lot of years to realize what it was that I thought. And this was the myth that I believed. I believed that you had to be discovered to be an actor. You know, Hollywood legend and lore has all kinds of stories about famous people who are famous that were discovered. You know, I think one of the most famous ones that goes back, you know, to the golden era of Hollywood is, I think it was Marlene Dietrich. And she was at the corner, as the story goes, she was at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, in a grocery store or drugstore, or I think is more appropriate, a drugstore, drinking a soda, and somebody came up and gave her a card and said, hey, you should be in movies. Now there's other stories too. There's Charlize Theron was in a line at a bank arguing with a teller, trying to get a check cashed. The teller didn't want to cash the check, and somebody saw her and gave her a card and said, you should call this talent agent, or I'm a talent agent, call me. I don't remember the details. But that's a story of someone being discovered that goes on to be famous. I think another one, I believe, is Chris Pratt. If I remember right, Chris Pratt was waiting tables at a Bubba Gump shrimp restaurant, and somebody was making a short film, and they came in and they said, hey, I want to cast you in my movie. And then that led to, you know, the career that he has now. So there's a lot of stories like that. People hear those stories and think that's the way you become an actor. And that's what I thought for a long time. And you know, that's really cool to have that kind of story. I mean, that's like the ultimate invalidation. Somebody who is a complete stranger comes up to you and says, I see something in you. There's something special in you. I want you to, you're going to be in the movies. You're going to be famous. You're going to be a star. You're going to be rich. So who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to have somebody come up and just kind of tap them on the shoulder and say, here you go. It's laid out before you, your career. And so, yeah, I believe that. So for a long time, I put off doing anything about acting because, you know, I just sat around waiting to be discovered. And that's kind of what we do in a lot of stuff. And I think the reason why I did it that way is because it kind of gave me a pass. If I didn't take the steps to try to pursue my dream and follow that, then I can't look back and say, hey, Jeff, you failed, you're a failure or something. And so I think a lot of people use that as an excuse not to take action. They're just, hey, we're going to sit around and wait. Another way to look at it is waiting for somebody to give you permission to act. Because, you know, Hollywood, back in the early days, it had a very strong gatekeeper system. The studios were the gatekeepers. The studios were the ones that brought in the potential actors and gave them screen tests, signed them to contracts, basically put them to work and guaranteed them work and roles in movies. That was the ultimate in gatekeepers. And I think that's a thought that a lot of us have still, is that there are still gatekeepers. Well, they're really not gatekeepers anymore. I mean, the advancements in camera technology and streaming platforms and all kinds of distribution and the internet you've really broken down a lot of those gates, which is like really awesome, because that means that anybody with an iPhone, like I've got right here, and a desire to make something can make something. And they can show it to their friends 24 hours later on YouTube. So it's really an exciting time. But I think a lot of people who want to be actors, aspiring actors, they still have it in their mind that they need to get permission, that they're gatekeepers. So, you know, I would just encourage you to think about, is that something that is that a thought that maybe you have, a subconscious thought even? And if so, just remember that that's not the case anymore. The vast majority of actors who succeed, they do so through dedication and hard work and persistence and methodical steps to train, to get better, to network. There's all kinds of steps that you can do, that you do to become an actor. And it really doesn't involve just sitting around waiting to be chosen, to be anointed as an actor. So that is one of the things that I just want to encourage you to take a hard look at your own thought process in that regard, and see, is that something that's maybe holding you back from taking that first step? Is it maybe because you think that you need to get permission from somebody needs to tell you, that you're good enough to be an actor? I struggled with that a lot too. I still kind of struggle with this a little bit in acting class. I have to remind myself, and my teacher reminds me too. It's like whenever we do a scene that's, any kind of character, I feel like I've got to really overdo it. I really got to hit it hard. If I'm a dad that's distraught and upset, I really got to hit it hard. Or if I'm a serial killer, and I got to be really creepy. I feel like I've got to hit it hard, and he reminds me, Jeff, you're enough. You're enough. Just trust yourself. Trust your training. So don't let that hold you back. Just realize that it takes hard work, persistent steps, moving in the right direction. Even baby steps are steps. I tell myself that all the time. If I'm not making the progress that I think I should be making, I just remind myself that baby steps are still steps forward, and just keep working. So I don't know. Leave a comment. Tell me if any of it makes sense or resonates with you, or if you've found some strategy. I'd just like to hear what you have to say. So leave a comment below. Thank you very much. Have a great day.